Old school, new school. Despite the fact that he transforms into a plane that is no longer in service. Kind of weird, isn't it? Then again, what's a civilian plane doing with a bunch of fighters anyway? Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here. We're continuing a look at some Generation 1 styled Transformers with a G1 Transformer and his modern equivalent. Today we have the Aerialbot Leader, Silverbolt. Which is good, though, that I was able to find one without having to pay extra markups, or hope that some of my friends would find him. But at any rate, right here is the 1986 original Silverbolt. And then right here we have the 2025 Age of the Primes version. As we stated earlier, Silverbolt is the Aerialbot Leader. And an interesting thing about Silverbolt is that, while he transforms into a flying machine, he is actually very afraid of heights. So that somewhat inhibits his behavior. To help counter this, Optimus Prime appointed him as the leader of the Aerialbots, so that he'd be too busy worrying about others instead of thinking only about his problems. And in some ways, that method has done Silverbolt some wonders, as it has forced him to become an excellent commander. And of course, we're going to take a look at each guy individually, but this kind of allows you to see both of them side by side. Of course, the new one is done up more to resemble his animated counterpart. The old one doesn't stand up too well. But of course, the original one is my toy from 1986, so he did see a fair amount of adventures. So, alright, we'll get them spread apart, and let's take a look at them individually. Okay, here's the original Silverbolt. And he was released in a larger size, like many of the other combiners that were done in 1986. In 86, due to the popularity of Devastator from the year prior, we got 5 combiner teams that year. A feat that hasn't been done again until Combiner Wars a number of years ago. And for most of them that were released that year, they went by a Scramble City type combiner, which featured one large robot to serve as the leader and form the body of the combined unit, and then 4 smaller toys that could be interchanged in any configuration on the combined unit. The Japanese lore for the Transformers indicated that when the smaller robots were in different configurations, it gave the larger unit strange powers. And what all they could do would be dependent on which robot was where, in terms of being an arm or a leg. The only combiner in the American line that really played up to that play feature was Piranha-Con, since they gave all of the Seacons a gun mode. Plus there was an extra small Seacon, so if you bought all 6, one of them could double as the weapon. And again, each one became a different type of gun, so Piranha-Con had quite a number of options available to him. Now here for Silverbolt, he does come with a lot of accessories. So we'll start by looking at them. We'll start with the obvious one, the one in his hand. This is his gun. which is known as an electrostatic discharger rifle. Apparently, Silverbolt can gather static electricity in the air and then funnel it into his gun to discharge it. Or it can also be siphoned into the nose of his aircraft mode and blasted from there. Interesting decision, but definitely one that has possibilities. And of course, being the combiner unit leader, he comes with the other components for the combiner, like the head for Superion. He comes with 2 fists, and as you can see, they are labeled as the right hand and the left hand. Although all you had to do was turn them around and see the position of the thumb, but just in case you couldn't tell. Likewise, here on the feet, it has an R and an L, so you know which one goes where. They unfortunately did not put it on the backside. He also has a chest shield and a smaller hip shield. And as a bonus piece, he also has a ramp. We'll show you what this ramp does during the transformation sequence. But right now, let's also take a look at Silverbolt's articulation, and he had pretty much what was best expected for many of the Generation 1 figures. You could bend his arms at the elbow 90 degrees to aim his guns, but he also did have a bit of a thigh cut, and you could raise his legs, but that was more for transforming him than anything else. So he's roughly about on par with what was expected of Generation 1 Transformers. Alright, transforming Silverbolt is a rather simple process. We straighten his arms out at the elbow. You're going to slide his fists inside. You can push in on them from the fists themselves, or you can use these slide levers. Although on mine, the slide levers have always been a pain, so I just tend to push it in like that. And then we will come down here to his feet. We'll fold the feet inside. Then rotate the legs all the way around at the thigh cut. And then you will fold them upwards onto his chest. Slide the red portion of his chest upwards so that it will allow them to fit into place. Then once those are in place, you can fold down his wing, fold down the arms, which will bring down the wings. Like I said, he's been on a lot of adventures. The parts are a little loose. His head can then be folded down, and then we bring the nose of the plane down. Maybe we should do that before we put the legs up. Yep, that way that works. Slides right on in. And then we come back here and fold the tail down. The tail on mine's a little bit loose. And for a smooth landing, we can come up here and bring down the landing gear, which makes it also easier to set him on the table here. And there we go. We have Silverbolt in his airplane configuration. And he, of course, is based on the Concorde, the supersonic plane. And he is a nice rendition of the Concorde. And even though he's a bit on the loose side from the old toy, he does swoosh pretty good. Now, of course, back in '86, when they released a lot of these guys, it wasn't uncommon for them to give the large combiner leaders a secondary mode to enhance play, and Silverbolt is no exception. We start to do that by folding up the front landing gear and we'll fold up this post here on the top of the plane. Fold down the tail fin and then fold it up onto the body. We'll turn him around. You fold out his legs. Rotate them back like you're going to make him into the robot. But then instead, you fold the legs outward from the thigh to kind of spread them open a little bit more. And then you latch in the ramp in between them. And then you have a launch platform. This is basically intended that you would have your little aerial bots ride up the ramp and take off faster. Or to be an extra spot for the cars to drive up on. As while it wasn't depicted in the American instructions, it was shown in the Japanese for the original toy of Metroplex that you could attach all four of the combiners like that. Motormaster, Onslaught, Hotspot, and Silverbolt could all be attached to Metroplex. Now, for Triptychon, they did show about Motormaster and Onslaught. I have a really dated video of Metroplex on my channel for under the bases playlist, and that one would show you how all four could be combined onto Metroplex. So I do apologize profusely that that one's not the best, but it is worth checking out if you're interested. But heads up, Larry fans, that was before Larry was involved, so Larry doesn't appear in that. Alright, now we'll change it up and take a look at the modern one. And here we have the modern version of Silverbolt. Now this version, he is a Voyager class size figure. But since they gave him an extra large part, that's how they're justifying selling him at leader class prices. Well, not leader, commander class. And that's got me kind of mixed on it, folks. I gotta admit that. I mean, trying to fit them in these classes, that's one thing, but there comes a point where it's a debate whether we're actually getting a good deal on it or whether we're being ripped off. As we'll show you that as part of his accessories here, is that we get this bulky unit here. Like Motormaster from about 2 years ago, I believe it was, this section contains the skeletal frame that will help form the larger robot. Because that configuration did prove to be very popular among the fans, due to the fact that it does allow for the giant robot to have a lot of posability. Excuse me a second. Alright, and this thing, it also separates into several parts. Because it basically has one section, that's the section up front here, that would help form the torso. And then these sections here, the middle ones form the legs, and then these two on the ends form the arms. So it does separate into several pieces. Let me open up the instructions here so that we can try to start separating it, because I want you guys to see how it looks, especially if you're one of them that ends up buying this on the secondary market. There we go. So we got this piece right here. This would form the chest and the hips on Superion. And there we go. We got these two pieces. You can see they got the hands in them, so these would form the arms. And then these two parts here these form the legs. Now, of course, when we have all the aerial bots, we will do a video to show you Superion, including how to assemble him. So at the moment, we're just gonna put him back together, put it back together, so that we have it all like that. Then, of course, Silverbolt has two guns. We have this smaller gun, which is done up sort of similar to the electrostatic discharger rifle from the original toy. It's considerably smaller, but that's okay. And then we have this larger gun, because it folds out, and the stock can also be folded up. And the hand grip can also be folded inwards, depending on the configuration. But, of course, the small gun also attaches at the end, and then you have the large gun for Superion. And then now, at any rate, let's take a look at Silverbolt's articulation. You can turn his head from side to side, and it is on a ball joint, so it will look up and down. You can raise his arms at the shoulders about 90 degrees. And if his wings are folded out of the way, the arms will rotate at the shoulder all the way around. You can bend his arm at the elbow 90 degrees, and he does have a swivel at the bicep. So he has G.I. Joe battle grip. Unfortunately, he's got too much kibble to really do much of a twist at his hips. So you can do it, but you can't get much out of it. You can spread his legs apart into a full splits. He does have a thigh cut. You can raise his leg at the hip 90 degrees. You can bend his leg at the knee a little greater than 90 degrees because he has double jointed knees. And that's it. All in all, not too shabby. Okay, to start things off, we're going to show off his battle station mode, and that involves this piece. We started off by folding up the front section, like so, and also bring up this piece here in the front, because I didn't have it as snugly attached as I thought I had. There we go, it snapped, so I heard it there. But they also want us to remove it because we're going to put it in a different spot, so I guess it was a good thing it fell out. And kind of make sure that this thing is all folded up. Come over here and fold the wings out on it. Come over here to this piece, because we're going to fold this section downwards, like so. And we'll also rotate the feet, rotate this section here where it would be the ankles. Because it is going to rest against it. Yep, we gotta rotate it so that these pieces, rotate them so that way these pieces are facing out. So that way you got these holes, because they're going to attach to the posts here at the bottom. Just exactly like that. And then you would take the gun and you will set it right here on the top. By attaching it near the stock, like that. If we can get it to hold on, There we go. Now we've got it snug. And then Silverbolt can stand behind it. And he has a nice gun emplacement. Nice. Okay, to turn Silverbolt back into the plane, the first thing they want us to do is fold his wings back, which we've already done. We turn his head, face the other direction. And then we will lower his chest area. And then we can fold out the Superion head. Something else to point out, the Superion head antenna can also be removed, because I just inadvertently popped it out. That is something else to warn you all about as you work with him. Folding in the Superion head, it's got to be positioned just right so that it keeps it closed in there. So do bear that in mind, but the antennae are made of a soft plastic, so they will give, but if you're struggling, open the torso up again and make minor adjustments to get him to fit. Then we can fold Silverbolt's head inside. Come down here to his arms and fold the fists in. Like that, and then bend the arms backward at the elbow. Because we are going to fold, once they're bent like that, you will fold them up inside, snap them into place, and then we can fold the torso back up like so. And then rest the giant head against it. Let me pause for a second. Alright, to continue on, we come down here to his legs. Turn them at the thighs so that the toes will be pointing at each other. Then bend him at the knees to get them outward. Fold the heels back inside. Like so, and then we will shift the feet at the ankle so that they rest against his legs. Like that. And then we will continue to fold the legs upwards to come to where the arms are, because there is a gap inside his legs, and that's where they are going to go. We have to do some finagling to get them in there. But just work with it to get them in. Make sure you also bend the knees as well, because that's how they will line up. There we go, bend him at the knees. And then they should attach like so together. Then now you can fold the wings down, because they will connect to a tab on the arms. Just like that. Then we come up here and start to finagle the nose section free. Pop it up like that and fold it down and over, so it should cover the Superion head, and connect it into place like so. And we'll come back here and we shall wrangle the tail section to fold back and have it join there. Then we come up here to the cockpit of the plane, pop it open, and then you can fold the nose out. According to the Transformer Wiki, there is room in here for a Titan Master to fit in there, but unfortunately you can't close the canopy on top of it, so kind of a bummer. Now when you put it together, you got two choices. You can have the nose pointing straight like it is normally, on the toy, or you can angle it downward like the real Concorde has. It's your choice either way, but I think I'll leave it like that since it looks more like the Concorde. Then, of course, for some smooth landings, we come down here to the hips and we can fold down the rear landing gear. And then there's another one up here in the front. Which we're having a little difficulty getting out. Pop it free and... Oh, wait a minute. It's not in there. It's embedded in Superion's head. We'll have to fight with it. Give me a second. Alright, it's a little bit stiff, but we finally got it to fold out, and then there we go. There he is in his Concorde mode. Let's bring out the original so you can see how they look side by side. The detail on the modern one is nice. It does show off a lot of the things from the original toy, so that makes it interesting to see. In all respects, I do like how it turned out. But of course, we're not done yet, my friends. Oh, no sirree Bob, we are not done yet. Let's get the original out of the way, because we can attach this large piece that came with him onto the plane. Now, of course, in order to do that, we first come back here, and we got to split his tail, just like that, and then fold up the wings. And then we also take the gun. We make sure that the gun barrel is folded up. We turn him around like so, and we fold up and straighten out this tail piece here. Because we're going to take the toy, we're going to take this piece, and it gets attached into here. Or at least that's where it's supposed to go. I think that when they set this up, they set it up backwards. There we go, we got it in. Barely. What's supposed to happen is there's a hole on the tailpiece, on the stock. It's supposed to fit in there like that. But at any rate, once we got it there, we'll make sure these fins are out at the sides. We come up here to the front, and we will fold out these red clips. And then those clip on to his orange thighs. So get him in there like that. Lock him in place. Come to Silverbolt's original wings. And you can fold out a couple of more tips. And then bring them down. Because if you got him locked in straight, then they should all connect together like so. And then to add to it, you can take the small gun and attach it under here. Kind of implying how in the G1 lore it was firing from the nose of the plane. Well, there's why. The gun is underneath there, like so. And I gotta admit, folks, this mode looks a little blocky. Kind of looks like a huge flying brick. But in a way, it does work. So I won't criticize it too much. I mean, it's not perfect, but it is optional. So I think we can let it pass at that. Okay, before I give you my thoughts, I want to do something else that I nearly forgot to do. I want to show off the tech spec for the original toy, and I actually have two different tech specs. This larger one is the one that came on the individually released toy. This smaller one is the one from the gift set. And while they do have some of the same, they do show the same statistics and such. As you can see, the picture is flipped on the different versions. Plus, there is a minor change. If we bring it real close here, you can see it. On the larger tech spec, it gives this function as Aerialbot Leader. But on the gift set, it says this function is Aerialbot Commander. So I don't know why there's the change, but at any rate, it's done up in red to signify he's an Autobot. It says Aerialbot above the picture. And of course, this drawing would match what was on the front of the box. It gives his name as Silverbolt. His function is Aerialbot Leader, or Commander, depending on which one you have. And there's a quote, presumably from Silverbolt, that says, "Don't look down, look straight ahead." Scared of heights. Brave, grimly determined warrior, but he struggles to maintain that image in order to hide his phobia. Of course, it says he hides it, but the cartoon, and more than likely the comics as well, also showed that he does, that everybody is aware that he is scared of heights. Selected by Optimus Prime to command, so he'd be too busy worrying about others to worry about himself. In jet mode, has speed of Mach 1.9, range 4,500 miles. Carries electrostatic battery that releases electric bolt of up to 150,000 volts through his nose cone. Uses electrostatic discharger rifle in robot mode. Combines with other Aerialbots to form Superion. And then we have the grid here. Normally you would need the decoder, but I can see the lines pretty well. It gives his strength as 6, his intelligence is 8, his speed is 9, his endurance, rank, courage, and firepower are all 8s, and his skill is 5, so he is relatively strong and smart. It's just his commanding skills are a little lacking, but given the fact that he's also trying to disguise his phobia, that kind of explains it. So, now we get to my thoughts. What do I think of Silverbolt? Well, I'm going to be a bit biased, as you would probably expect, but I have always enjoyed the Generation 1 version, despite the fact that I never got why a civilian plane would be with a bunch of military fighters. But at any rate, I still enjoy how the original one is, despite its flaws. The modern one, it's okay. I'll go at it with that. Silverbolt himself is pretty good. He transforms relatively well, save for the problem with the Superion head. But that's relatively minor, especially since if you have difficulties lining up the antenna, you can pop them off. It's just a matter of not losing them in the meantime. The added section, I'm kind of on the fence about that. I mean, I understand what they're going for with it, and I do approve of it, because I did like how Menasor formed with those pieces that were done as Motormaster's trailer. So I'm looking forward to Superion having similar articulation. It's just, unfortunately, when it's connected like this, it looks kind of wonky. But maybe in time after we see Superion, I might be more forgiving of it. We'll see. At any rate, that's my look at Silverbolt, both the Generation 1 and Age of the Primes releases. I hope you all enjoyed it. Remember, if you love the content on this channel, Larry and I would certainly appreciate some likes, shares, comments, and subscriptions. This is Sparkster1701 saying I'll catch you all later.